final passage reads, "On that fated land, a great war shall transpire. Darkness will prevail, and light expire. This world is full of light. It's a world comprised of many smaller worlds, all connected, stretching as far as the eye can see. One great light protects us all. All worlds share one light, one fate."
I take it you're talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
In ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land. In the name of Kingdom Hearts. But Kingdom Hearts was safeguarded by its counterpart, the Keyblade. Warriors vied for that precious light, thus beginning the Keyblade War. All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. Sounds like your trip around the world opened your eyes, but you got a little bit more than you anticipated. You must have seen a lot of darkness. So you're saying the weak feel the need to justify their actions to maintain a sense of self. You can't let that slide. I suppose letting false light dictate the future might be a pretty lousy move. So, you can make a change. You have that power. What do you want for the world? You believe the world needs you. Sounds like you already know where you're headed. If you truly possess great power, the darkness can't control you.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. Who are you really?
Some kind of fortune teller.
Well, I could lie, tell you that's what I am, when I'm actually a brilliant artist, even a scholar. I could tell you that I dream of world peace, when I'm actually planning for its destruction. The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. May your heart be your guiding key.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the Landy Lodge episode 196 has commenced. And in today's episode, we are going deep on the Master of Masters, who has actually not gotten his own episode on the podcast yet, so I felt it was very long overdue. I have a number of things about the Master of Masters I want to talk about, but before I get into any of that, let's give our due, let's give our thanks to the Sages of the Lodge, the beautiful names you see up on your screen right here, those who are YouTube channel members or donate to the Lodge directly to keep this train a-moving and keep my nonsense going. Gotta give it up to them, and let's give a shout out to all the early birds I see we got in here. M.A., Just a Waffle, The Hype Man, Michaela Arnold, Miss Blue, Miss Fleck, Chris Arista, and Skank Hunt 42. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody, and thanks for being an early bird. I see Corin Flakes is here yesterday, says he just finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2 yesterday. Xenoblade series is so good. Let me tell you something. I'm on the edge of one day getting into Xenoblade. I think I'm going to give Octopath Traveler a try first, but Xenoblade is appealing, man. You know, there's three very strong titles that I think are worth a go at some point. I see Will's Word is here, Roxas 13, and Kevin Hughes, the Sages, coming out in a big wave. So anyway, guys, thanks for showing up today. Just to give you an idea of what you can expect on today's episode. So here's the thing. We are not going to talk about the Master of Masters identity. We could talk about it when we hit that 1 hour mark and we open things up to the chat and we really get to dive off of the title topic and take the episode in any direction we want. But for the first hour, we're not talking about the Master of Masters identity. And the reason for that is I found that like 80 to 90% of the conversations around the Master of Masters is all about who he is. You know, whether is he Sora, is he Debix, is he the mythological Lucifer, is he, light incarnate? You know, I see 80 to 90% of the Master of Masters discussions I'm seeing all have something to do with his identity in one shape, form, or another. So I actually want to give this whole episode to talk about his origins and talk about his plans. Because I actually think his origins and his plans are actually way more interesting than what his identity is. You know, again, whether he's someone new, whether he's Lushu's clone, or Lushu's a clone of him, you get my point. There's so many different directions this could go in. Again, Sora, Light Incarnate, some people think Demix. Anyway, I think it takes up too much of the conversation. So again, I want to talk a lot about his origins, his plans, maybe some of his motivations, and see maybe what theories or ideas really craft up from there. I want to give some shout outs because if you are interested in going over what the Master's identity is, there are a few videos that I would recommend. One of them is going to be a video that actually got this channel, the Landy Lodge, off the ground. It's like, did the Master reveal his identity? You could see it on the YouTube channel profile. It's the biggest video on the channel. So, you know, it's ironic I want to avoid talking about the Master's identity because, again, that's the topic that got this channel off the ground. So I'm not belittling that discussion in any way, shape, or form. So please don't mistake it for that. But you can check out that video. Lunar Lux does a great video about why Demix isn't the Master of Masters. And then you have Sonny Novus, who does his video about the false light, the true king prophecy. Definitely should check out Sonny Novus. And then I believe Prodigy did a video where he lays out, he didn't really coin the Sora is the Master of Masters theory, but he does a really good video kind of covering all the points that people in that camp make. So those are just some, if the identity of the Masters is something you're interested in, those are just some ideas. Those are just some videos I would recommend. Let's adjust this a little bit here. And yeah, let's see how the chat's doing. Crazy Comics is in the house. Hey, Landy, how's it going? I'm doing good, man. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the lodge. Cornflake says Xenoblade lore is the only competition Kirby has for Nintendo. Yeah, I hear the Kirby lore is actually insane. My wife has been ripping Kirby and the Amazing Mirror on Nintendo Switch Online, and man, that game just looks beautiful. It's a testament to the fact that pixel art just ages so well. Silver Dash is here. Cornflakes, the Master of Masters idea, distract you with his mysterious identity to continue with his schemes. Yeah, I really feel like we are being not distracted, but that, again, how do I put it? I think the black box is a more compelling mystery than the Master of Masters identity. Because I really think his identity, quote unquote, it's very possible it doesn't matter much in the long run. You know what I mean? There's always a chance it does, but there's always the chance that like he's just some ancient fallen master trying to rebuild his world, which we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Shout out to anybody out there who watches this stream, watches this podcast, who plays FF14. I think there may be a lot of similarities between Emmett Selk and the Master of Masters. I will speak specifically on that later in the episode, but just a little foreshadowing for what is to come. Okay, so before we get into some of the more creative, imaginative, theory crafting part of this episode, let's actually go to Union Cross. I want to watch probably the most important scene for the Master of Masters. I'm someone who, ever since back cover, Master of Masters has been one of, if not my favorite character in the series right now. But I actually think it's a lot of his Union Cross scenes that carry the most weight. The Remind scene with young Xehanort was great and very insightful. A lot of the stuff in back cover was, again, very insightful. But it's in his Union Cross cutscenes I actually think we get the best idea of who he is. So there's one particular scene. Let me pull it up. It's at about the 22-minute mark on this video. Actually, right here. So many of you are probably very familiar with this scene. So this is the scene from Union Cross. And I know we have a lot of people, the fan base of Kingdom Hearts varies in how into it they are. I've learned that in a lot of the feedback I've gotten from people who listen to this podcast. There are those of you who have, maybe like me, have watched Union Cross a bunch of times, and you come here to kind of muse on it. But I know there's a lot of you out there, and again, some of you have reached out to me via email, dropped into my DMs, that you're not very familiar with stuff like Union Cross and Dark Road, and this podcast can be very insightful and helpful for those of you who, again, maybe aren't as well versed in the mobile games. So we are going to watch this scene all the way through. I'll read out a lot of the most important Master of Masters dialogue for those who may be listening to the audio version on, any Google Podcasts, all those freaking platforms we're on, which I do need to update our audio platforms. But anyway, before we get there, I do want to watch this particular scene, because I think for those of you who may not be as well versed in this is where the Master tells all. This is where the Master gives way to what his plan is, may give away why his plan is, and how he intends to do it. So take a little swig for the foretellers, and then we're gonna get right to it. All right, let's watch these scenes. Again, familiarize ourselves with his plan. And I think there are some moments in here in the next 5 minutes where the Master gives up some of his origin. He clearly gives us a little bit more. He clearly gives us a little bit. He clearly gives us some breadcrumbs. But I think that if we read a little bit between the lines, we posture or think about a lot of what he's doing in the Lost Masters arc, I think it could be very telling about where he comes from and why he's doing what he's doing. But anyway, enough of my yap. Let's get this scene rolling. Here we go. Union Cross, Master of Masters, having a discussion with Lu Shu where he's going to lay out his plans. Let's let it ride. So this is where the Master is again. He's discussed with Lu Shu, just as a little preface before he gets into the full plan, about how his overall plan here, there are 13 ancient darknesses, and they need to be, quote-unquote, dealt with. So the Master of Masters is unveiling his plan here that darkness can be encased within strong hearts, within hearts of maybe not even pure light, but very strong light, that the true darknesses can be encased in hearts such as that. So keep that in mind as we go forward from here. He says, darkness can't be defeated when it's formless. In order to win, we need vessels with strong hearts. That's why I raised you all. Talking about Lu Shu and the Foretellers. He then says, I know this might sound awful for you, but, let me lower this. I'm not saying you were raised as simple vessels. Keep that in mind too. I wanted to make you into people with hearts so strong that even darkness couldn't possess them. So again, we see the very beginnings of his plan starting to formulate here. He obviously considers darkness an enemy and wants to eradicate it in one form or another. But he understands so long as darkness remains this formless, ephemeral entity, he's not going to be able to achieve that. However, if he can lock them in these strong vessels, and if the vessels can be sealed away or defeated, he's basically has a hypothesis that that might be a way to deal with darkness indefinitely. But let's let this keep going. Again, he says, I wanted to make you into people with hearts so strong that even darkness could not possess them. He says, you mustn't forget, here we go, this is a fight between people and those who are not. So again, This is very interesting because I really want to talk about the Master's origins, but we're in the plan. This is the plan segment, so I'm gonna keep it focused. So it's very interesting, right? So it tells you that the Master cares about humanity. If the Master is on some kind of team, he might be an island all to himself, but he's posturing himself as if he is on Team Humanity, and these formless, ethereal, darkness entities are not Team Humanity because they simply are not human. So let's keep that in mind. We must not let our goal be clouded by feelings. I entrusted the fate of humanity to you all because I believed in you. There you go again. It's funny. I didn't plan for that, but he used the term humanity. So when we think about what the Master cares about, right? What motivates him? You know, again, I've seen a lot of people theorize that he could be an entirely selfish figure who's pursuing godhood or pursuing a seat of high authority among existence, which is very, very possible. But let's consider for a minute here that humanity is something he cares about, and he's willing to go to extreme measures to preserve humanity in the face of darkness. Now again, let's keep this rolling. Keep it rolling. There are 13 main darknesses. We were talking about this earlier. Of those, the strongest 7 ones must be locked within our hearts. So again, he kind of sees them as like on the top of the pyramid, so the strongest darknesses have to be dealt with them. And they will be defeated in whatever place they land. That is the purpose of the Keyblade War. Again, talking about not the Keyblade War from Kingdom Hearts 3, though perhaps as time goes on, a double meaning may manifest itself there. But what he's referencing is the Keyblade War that happened in Daybreak Town, not the one that happened in the Keyblade Graveyard. Let's keep it going. And again, the music is so good, dude. So good. The traitor between the Union leaders and the Keyblade War, is all of this really necessary? The Master says yes. The mention of a traitor in the Book of Prophecies has a purpose. Darkness feeds upon the emotions of doubt and discord. They all must feel those emotions deep in their hearts. So again, now we think about how does the Master get the darknesses within the vessels? They have to experience an extreme level of despair, of disordinance, sadness, again, all those sort of darkness emotions that we associate. So the Keyblade War and the distrust among those friends was the way that was done. Now we're going to get into who he has plans for next and what that could mean for the future, but we're almost there. Let's let it keep rolling. The conflict of all those emotions will just amplify them even more. And that will cause those 7 darknesses to be locked within our hearts. So let's consider for a second that right now, during present time, those ancient darknesses might be within the Foretellers and the Master of Masters as we speak. You know, it's implied that what he was planning here was a success, but we don't know to what degree that is in the present time, right? Maybe Lushu pulled the Foretellers from a point in time before they were taken by the darkness, right? We only have that one scene with the Foretellers. So there's a lot of details that we don't know for sure yet. So to what level this has succeeded or failed remains to be seen, but it's my estimation that those darknesses are within the Foretellers and the Master as we speak. Lushu, Xigbar, having the yellow eye at the very end could very well be an indication that there is a ancient darkness encased within him right now. Tiger Weirdo says, one thing I want to say is that Master of Masters has seen the future before everything happened. We know this because when he talks to darkness, he says, I did see something interesting in the future. Yeah, the Book of Prophecy seems to work in a sort of time loop where even as things happen in the future, it influences what was done backwards in time. It's very interesting. Take a swig for the Foretellers. But yeah, again, when we consider that Xigbar Lushu still had the yellow eye at the very end of Kingdom Hearts 3, that could again be a sign that the ancient darkness that he's talking about right here might already be encased within him. Now again, I've often played with the idea that maybe it has as much to do with Xehanort as it does darkness. But again, we won't know until it's fleshed out further. Okay, let's let this keep rolling. We're getting to the end of his plans, and then we'll talk a little bit about the origins. There are 6 left. Those will be locked within the Union leaders after we've disappeared, and then 1 more who will be trapped in this world. So again, he mentioned that the first of the 7 of the 13 darknesses are going to be encased within him, Lushu, and the Foretellers. Now, given the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3, it looks like that may very well have been a success. Now, before we continue, it appears as though the remaining 6 darknesses here, this is the reason why he formed the Dandelions. The Dandelions, in a sense, are like the B team. Like the Foretellers, they're the A team. The Dandelions are the B team. You know, that's why the 7 strongest darknesses go to them, and then the remaining 6 are what his plans are for the Dandelions. Now, chat, this is where I need you. Chat, this is where I need you. If I'm not mistaken, those darknesses, 100%, as we know right now, are not within the Dandelions. Present day, Scala ad Kylum, missing link. We have no evidence to suggest that the remaining 6 darknesses are encased within the Dandelions. Chat, double check me on that. Shout me out if I'm wrong. Shout me out if you confirm. Because that very well might be what we're going to see happen in Kingdom Hearts 4, in the Lost Masters arc. That might be what we're seeing unfold between us. So think about it. Excuse me, got to stretch a bit. Okay, I'm saying King of My Throne says agreed. Okay, so here's what I think may be happening. I think the Master of Masters is trying to get the Dandelions to Quadratum because that's where he'll be able to do this darkness ritual, this encasing them in the strong hearts of light. But the key to that working is that those hearts of light need to feel like an overwhelming sense of despair, an overwhelming sense of distraughtness. So I think part of the Master's plan here is to get them to Quadratum, right? We see that Strelitzia is already in Quadratum. Now, given she's the only Dandelion we know is there. But with just her being there, that gives Laurium a reason to go to Quadratum. That gives Elrina, who's going to follow him, a reason to go to Quadratum. And just like that, half the Dandelions are in Quadratum. Half. And Sora, who we know by nature of having the Keyblade, darkness is drawn to that Keyblade. The reason the Master wanted to get Sora into Quadratum is because that will bring darkness into Quadratum. Because as he mentions in Union Cross, for those of you who may not be familiar, he mentions that when he saw Quadratum, discovered it, it's this world neither of light nor darkness. So the reason the Master wants to get Sora into Quadratum is to bring darkness there. That's what we see. It's the whole point of the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, is to show us this, that just by Sora waking up, boom, Darkseid is here. And that's what the Master wants. That's why he's watching from a rooftop, man. That's why he's watching from a rooftop, because that's what he wants to take place. So now that Sora's brought the darkness here, now all that's left is to get the Dandelions here. Strelitzia is there. That's going to give Laurium a reason to want to go. That's going to give Elrina a reason to want to go. I'd be willing to bet Ventus is going to end up there. I have reason to believe Brain is already there. That's my own personal feelings on the matter. We could talk about that a little bit. But I think he is destined to show up there because I'll give you my reasons for feeling so. I'll give you my reasons of feeling so. We know that he makes it to Scala, right? But when in Dark Road, when they discuss Brain as Ericus's great-great-grandfather, they don't say, oh, he died. They say he disappeared. Where did he disappear to? I think he went to Quadratum. I think that's what Missing Link is about. I think Missing Link, Scala ad Kylum, is going to have some overlap with the world of fiction and Quadratum. Again, that's just what I think. Silver Dash says, the only darkness I remember that escaped was the one with Ven. Yeah, because he mentions, you know what, maybe I have to go back to that for a second. I'm glad you brought that up. You're bringing us right back. That gets brought up here. How can I accept this? Luciu says, and the master says, I already told you. As Luciu is upset at the people being sacrificed, he says, we must not let our goal be clouded by feelings. It's a terrible tragedy and a cruel fate for those whose hearts are eaten by the darkness. This is a big part. We're going to circle back and come to this. I've seen many people I loved and many of my friends' hearts falling into darkness. Okay, we're going to put a pin right here because this is going to launch us into talking about the Master's origins. Let's go back into talking about the Master's plan and whether that was compatible with everything that I'd laid out. I see that we have some people in the chat sharing their ideas. Eric the Dude says, yeah, I think Quadratum will have the Foretellers and Master of Masters, the Verum Rex characters, Strelitzia, and Missing Union Cross characters that disappeared from the main timeline. You know, I'm not so sure. Hear me out, Eric the Dude. I think the Foretellers and Luciu are going to stay on the Kingdom Hearts side of reality, right? Because this is going to divide up 7 over here on this side, 6 over here on the other side. I think they're going to stay on this side of reality, and a lot of the characters who are over there are going to be the ones to contend with them. The Terras, the Aquas, maybe even Ventus. So I agree we're going to see a lot of the Union Cross characters, but I actually think the Foretellers are going to stay put. I do. Tiger Weirdo says, Brain, of course, would have disappeared after having a child, too, as that's, of course, how it works. Not sure what you mean by that. I thought Darkness was drawn towards Keyblade wielders. Not in the same way it's drawn to the Kingdom Key, like the main Kingdom Key is sort of like the nexus from which all the darkness being drawn springs. 4 trapped in Wreck-It Ralph, 1 is Vanitas, and the last one that talks to Luciu. Yes. And again, the Master mentions that they plan to leave one behind. That might be the one that made its way to Vanitas. Let's keep going. Let's see. Okay, I see you guys are mentioning how 4 were trapped. 1 is Vanitas, and the last one talks to Luciu. Okay, we're all kind of on the same page there. Con Donahue says, hey, Landy, how's it going? I feel like I will like this stream, especially since I am wondering as well about the Master's backstory and his endgame plans. Well, you come to the right place, because we're definitely going to get into that. Well, we're about 30 minutes in, so we got some time. Okay, good point. I got you. I forgot that they appeared in the Keyblade Graveyard at the end of 3. Yeah, I think they're going to stay on that side. And the Dandelions will all manifest over on the Quadratum side of things. But yeah, okay, so that aside, let's go back to this. I want to talk about this. Because this is kind of crazy to me. Take a swig for the Foretellers. So, history would have you think that Daybreak Town was the beginning of everything, right? When Kyrie's grandmother tells that story that kind of lays out the mythology of the Kingdom Hearts world, how, you know, there was this age of fairy tales where everything was bathed in light, but then everybody started to fight over it and darkness manifested and now the worlds are split. What's crazy is the Master is from a time that predates all of that. He has contended with darkness before. And what Daybreak Town essentially was this sort of Garden of Eden that he himself constructed for reasons that we're starting to learn right now. I thought of this earlier today. This might put it into place for everybody. Ericus and Xehanort were playing chess. The Master of Masters is playing dominoes. You know? Where Xehanort and Ericus were going toe-to-toe at one another. You could argue the Master and Darkness are playing chess. But I think what makes the Master terrifying is I think he's playing dominoes. I know this sounds cheesy, but hear me out. He's lining up all the pieces, right? He's lining up all the pieces so that he could trigger an event where everything occurs and collapses the way he wants. We saw it with Daybreak Town, right? He left Daybreak Town essentially the domino of which all the other dominoes felt. him leaving Daybreak Town, again, was like the first domino that falls. That's how he does things. He sets things up like a bunch of dominoes, which is funny because dominoes are, black and white, like light and darkness. Funny little stupid freaking fan fiction Easter egg I just came up with. But anyway, I like to see him as like, again, he sets the table with the dominoes and he lets it rip. The way Ericus and Xehanort played chess, again, like, who's in here saying, like Miss Blue is saying, Luke Sword plays cards. You see a lot of those tropes in Kingdom Hearts. I see the bastard literally is playing dominoes. It's a crazy thing. I like that analogy. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Because again, you look at Daybreak Town. It was like a simulation he created, and then when he did his trigger event, everything happened the way he wanted. I feel like what he's doing right now is just like a second coming of that. And again, crazy stuff. Another swig for the foretellers. So hear me out. I think the Master came from a time where existence was different. You look at the Master, right? He's not like Ephemer. He's not like Ava. He's not like Lushu. Like, he's on another level. They're all living. They're doing their things. They even do extraordinary things, right? Like Ava does extraordinary things. Ephemer does. That's why I brought them up as two good examples. But the Master is on a whole other level. He's inventing Chirithes. He's writing Book of Prophecies. He's got this mysterious black box. He's literally, it's not like he's a god, but he's an elite. Like, he is elite in the whole, like, Daybreak Town hierarchy. I think he came from a civilization of people just like that. That, like, they could create things like Chirithes on a whim, or Dream Eaters on a whim, or Nightmares on a whim. Like, they're so almost like these demigod-like creatures in the way that, like, gods create humanity and planets and stuff. They're almost like these demigods that could create small little things of life. Like, again, Chirithes, Dream Eaters, Nightmares, maybe even Heartless, things like that. They have these sort of creative abilities. I feel like he comes from this, like, super advanced time where, again, they had maybe a Garden of Eden type setup, just like Daybreak Town, only the Master was part of the fall. Right now, or he was a victim of the fall. Rather, in Daybreak Town, he was one step ahead of the fall. I think he comes from a town much like Daybreak Town, but where the populace is filled with people as, like, capable and with it as he is. And then, basically, everything that happened in Daybreak Town is what happened to him in his old time. Right? And now, now that he accepts that darkness is inevitable, instead of letting it happen to him, he's now one step ahead of it. He's now the guy who catalyzed it. It's his way of taking control. Yo, Andy Brew is here with a resub coming in 23 months. Yo, shout out to Jordan, the GOAT. And he says, loving this discussion, by the way. Thanks, dude. We're just talking Masters. I brought up a rule early in the podcast. I was like, I don't want to talk about his identity. I think there's more interesting stuff. Let's see what the chat's getting on about. Let's see. If we go the theory that the Master of Masters is a version of Sora, it would make sense he has knowledge of lots of these things. I've got to be honest with you. I don't like that theory. If it ends up being true, I'm cool with it as long as they make it work. But I don't think that's what's going on. I've been working on a video that's going to try and deconstruct this argument that Sora is the Master of Masters, because I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true. But again, I don't want to get too into the whole identity thing. Rez says, I think Xehanort will side with Master of Masters again in Quadratum, pretty much telling Master of Masters all about Sora, hinted a little in the Cage 4 trailer with the two hooded figures on top of the building. Yeah, that could be it, but I actually think young Xehanort would not necessarily be on our side, but I think he would want revenge on the Master. You know what I mean? Okay. All right, let's keep this rolling. So again, I think the Master of Masters came from a Garden of Eden scenario that was more advanced than Daybreak Town, where they had better things to do than busy themselves with being in unions and collecting light. No, they were all creating things and maybe a lot of what's left in the world came from them. But anyway, the master was a victim to let's just say, the darkness's manifestation in his old world. And like he's saying, he's seen many people he loved and many of his friends' hearts falling into darkness. So when we talk about his origins and his motivations, this is straight up connected. I don't think he's lying just to, fuck with Lushu. I think he's being genuine here. Here, let's let it keep going. There's a little bit more. This isn't some heroic tale. It's a matter of the dignity of people with hearts. This isn't about sacrifices. We're readying a way to save them. That's big. So what does he mean by that? They're readying a way to save them? So to me, that means I don't think the master's plans stop at them being slaughtered and then everything moving on. He obviously has a plan that involves saving the ones they plan to sacrifice. That involves saving the foretellers, saving the dandelions. Though to what extent, we just don't know. Eric the Dude says, it's giving the Ancients from FF7 or the Fallen from FF16. When it comes to Master of Masters' background, probably strayed too close to the sun and his people paid for it, which would explain his ambivalent nature towards the sacrifice of the Keyblade wielders in Union Cross. That's exactly what I'm getting on. In FF14, it's Emmett Selk, and it's the reason he starts the Asians to try and bring that time back. I think the Master, what he's doing is he's trying to find a way to bring back the world he lost. And I think he's willing to sacrifice the world we have now. And when he sees this world of fiction, right? He sees this world of fiction where he's not bound to the same rules that he is in this reality. He sees it as the perfect canvas upon which to paint the time that he once lost in his younger days. So that's what I think he's doing. And I think he's going to try and make it in a way that everybody can have it all. Like, I could see, much like Emmett Selk, that he's going to want Sora on his side. He's going to want the heroes to be on his side. Like, hey, listen, I'm trying to bring back a world, that's more orderly than this, where the worlds are all connected. Isn't that what we want? But the problem would be that the world they live in now would have to be sacrificed. And I just don't think the Guardians are going to fly for that. But I could see the Master being in a way where he desperately wants to get Sora on his side. Wants Sora to see things the way he sees them. Because Sora can relate, right? Sora's world was destroyed right before his eyes. And he freaking torched the playbook to bring his loved ones back. So the Master's going to use that as a plea to be like, if anybody could understand Sora, it should be you. The fact that I want to change the rules, commit taboos to bring back the people I lost. He's going to use that to kind of posture Sora, right? I could see it where he's like, how come you get to change the rules and commit taboos to bring back the people you love, but I can't? I can't bring back the world I lost? Something to think about. Billy the Kid is here! Billy the Kid is here, baby! Sage of the Lodge, who says, it has been 543 days since the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer. Will this drought ever end, or will we suffer forever? Stay tuned. Billy, dude, it's so good to see you. And let me just say this. I think in the winter we get something. I think once we get close to the release of FF7 Rebirth, boom, we're going to get hit with a lot of Kingdom Hearts. Just like right before FF16 dropped, we got hit with a lot of FF7. I think right before FF7 drops, we get hit with a lot of Kingdom Hearts. It just seems to be the way they're doing marketing at Square these days. So, Billy, thank you for that 5. You're the man. We love you. And this drought will end soon. Give it up for Billy, man. He's some of the best among us out here. Andy Brew says there is so much more to wonder about with the Master of Masters. I'm more interested in what he's about than his identity. Yeah, it seems like that conversation's been drawn out. Psychopaths like myself and Sonny Novus have, and Prodigy and geez, who knows who else? Like everybody, so many people, I could be here listing them all day, have dove into like what it could be. It's time to talk about some of the other stuff, some of the other juice. Yeah, you agree. Wintertime something? I could see a Game Awards for sure. Game Awards for sure. I could see it making a big splash at the Game Awards. Okay, getting back into it. I like Rox13 Prod's message here. It says, but the master is sacrificing others. Sora only sacrificed himself. Correct, but like we mentioned with his line of dialogue here, it looks like the master wants to bring them back too. Right? Like he said, let me rewind it a little bit just to reiterate. Right there. We're readying a way to save them. Because his whole point might be like, hey, we can decide not to sacrifice them and the darkness is going to devour their world anyway. Like that could be the master's position here is like, hey, you may not like that I'm using them as sacrifices, but if I don't use them as sacrifices, the world's going to be lost to darkness anyway. So you might as well let me use them as sacrifices and try to prepare some way to save them. And who knows, maybe his way of saving the Dandelions will be at the cost of the Guardians. Who knows, right? Who knows? Okay. Let's let this continue. The scene is almost done. And man, that's 40 minutes. 40 minutes on this scene alone. Like, you see what I mean? 40 minutes on this one scene. All right. Let's keep going. Lushu just dips. He's not happy about it, but he dips. Here we go. Now this, we've mentioned what happens here on the podcast a lot. Master says, may your heart be your guiding key. But this is really where he affirms that Lushu is the traitor, and he's going to be waiting on Lushu to betray him. So, kind of nuts. All right, there it is. I'm counting on you, Lushu the traitor. So again, his plans are still relatively, we know the first half of his plan. Encasing the darkness in the vessels of light. He seems to have already accomplished that with the foretellers. He seems to now be focusing it on the Dandelions. It's my estimation that his plan is to get the Dandelions into Quadratum. That's going to be where he encases them. And that's what he needs Sora for. Sora is going to be pivotal to his plan. Okay. What's next? All right. Let's move on to this scene. So this is obviously classic scene with young Xehanort in the Master of Masters. Everything here is pretty on the nose. This scene really only existed to kind of, I don't want to say really, I don't want to be reductive, but this scene primarily existed to kind of show you the Master of Masters was the one pulling the strings behind Xehanort, and he wasn't pulling the strings in a literal way, right? He was very subtle. It's just like giving a little nudge. Again, like dominoes. He's just putting things in the right place very carefully. He's not being too forceful. He's not wielding power, in order to like intimidate Xehanort into place. He's just being very subtle, nudging things accordingly. Now, with this scene in particular, I think if we're not talking about his identity, the most peculiar line he has to me is right about here. Okay, I might have missed it. Where is it? It's when his hands are behind his back. Here we go. It's about when he starts talking about false light dictating the future, which seem to be based off of like young Xehanort's conclusions, not his own. But it makes me wonder if ever since the fall of his world, okay, here we go. Maybe the Master's world was the only time the real Kingdom Hearts was up in the sky. Like maybe in the Master's world, maybe he lived in a time where maybe the Master lived in a time where Kingdom Hearts could reign, where Kingdom Hearts could actually take to the sky. Like, okay, yeah, perfect. Oh, man. Remember what Xehanort says in Dream Drop Distance? In ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land by the name of Kingdom Hearts. Now, what ancient time is he talking about? Because he's not talking about, actually, to me, I'm not sure. I don't want to be too definitive, but I don't think he's talking about Daybreak Town. I think the unseen land from what could be where the Master's from, like the way he talks about Kingdom Hearts being this unseen land that light comes from, maybe that's where the Master of Masters is from. You know what I mean? What if the Master of Masters is from Kingdom Hearts, but then darkness infested the true Kingdom Hearts itself, requiring the Master to bail? He creates this age of fairy tales, which darkness infects that, and that fractures out the worlds. But in all those worlds, the true Kingdom Hearts hasn't manifested. You know? Xemnas had to create a false one. Xehanort had to sort of create his own. Silverdash says, how could Xehanort have known about that? Exactly. The first world, if you will. Exactly. The way the final world is the sky, the first world could be where the Master's from, the true Kingdom Hearts. Or even if he's not from the true Kingdom Hearts, maybe he's from the land from which the light of Kingdom Hearts shined directly upon. You know? And that's why to him it's worth sacrificing this fake world in his eyes, right? This fake world to bring back his true order. Okay. Rahey Timur says, well, in the Fabula Nova series, there's mention of this thing called the Unseen Realm. So Kingdom Hearts itself is the equivalent to that in this series, perhaps? It could very well be true. It could very well be true. You know, we've seen a lot of overlap with Fabula Nova and Kingdom Hearts, and with the whole Yozora ending, with the crystallization of Sora, it looks like it might be coming to the Lost Masters arc. Hey, yo, Billy the Kid! Dropping another $10 on us, baby. You gotta love it. Says, thanks for the entertainment as always, bro. I've got the coof right now, and this is a nice distraction. Everybody, our buddy Billy the Kid is suffering from the coof. If we could send a lot of love his way, send a lot of good emotes, love, everything for Billy. Hope he can get over this, dude. I hope you're doing okay. Make sure you get your rest. Make sure you drink lots of water. And just make sure you chill, man. Make sure you chill. You know, healing starts in the mind, dude. Healing starts in the mind. All right. Eric the Dude says, there is so much Fabula Nova influence in Kingdom Hearts 4. Obviously, Quadratum is Insomnia, 100%. Noctis is Yozora, 100%. The Nameless Star and Strelitzia are giving Stella Nox Fleuret. And I think the Nameless Star straight up is Stella. I know some people see Strelitzia doing that. I don't. And the foretellers are Class 0? We'll see. That's kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts. Oh, boy. I see Omelet Street is here. I might have already said that, but I'll say it again. I don't give a shit. Damn. We got a lot of people watching tonight. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for dropping in. Make sure you hit subscribe, by the way. If you like podcasts talking about Kingdom Hearts, you like podcasts talking about Final Fantasy, videos talking about those series, this is a good place to be. We're coming up on 600 followers on Twitch. We're coming up on 600 on Twitter. We're coming up on 4,500 on YouTube. That's right, 4,500. The race to 5,000 has begun. So if you guys are watching this, whether you be here live or just be tuning in, make sure you follow, make sure you sub. A lot of this to be done. Remember, this is the off season, ladies and gentlemen. This is the off season for Kingdom Hearts. Can you imagine how sick we're going to go in here when it's in season? You know what I'm saying? And those days are right around the corner, man. Right around the corner. But all right, let's get back into it here. Again. So I want to talk a little bit more about the Master's plan and what he wants to do. I think the Master of Masters wants a world merger. I think he wants to merge the world of Kingdom Hearts with the world of Unreality. To what degree, by what nature he wants to merge these worlds, I do not know. But I've got a feeling he has some sort of world merger in mind. Because, how do I put this? The World Ends With You is involved too, yeah. He might be a game master. You feel me? Silver Dash, thank you for following on both. Reunion Cross. That'd be a great title for like a subtitle game, like in between Kingdom Hearts 4 and 5. Kingdom Hearts Reunion Cross. That could be cool. But anyway, I really think his plan is about bringing the Kingdom Hearts world into Unreality, because I think there's something about Unreality that gives him more power than he would have in base reality, we'll say. Umber says, I didn't realize there was a podcast tonight. Yeah, I was really bad at letting people know about the podcast tonight. I didn't say anything in the Discord. I didn't say anything on Twitter. I'm freaking useless, man. I'm useless. But we're here. We're here, baby. We're here loud and clear. But anyway, I really think that's part of the Master's plans. Because it's very clear he wants, like, at base level, we know he wants to get rid of darkness. Underneath that, you have to ask, why does he want to get rid of darkness? Does it stop there? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. I think he has his own selfish reasons. I think he either wants to be the top of all of existence's hierarchy, or he wants to bring back a world that he lost. You know? Because he might look at this world and be like, in much the same way Xehanort looked at this world and basically said, what a mess. This world is tainted by darkness. People's light is a farce. Like, you know, like what a mess. The Master might be concluding the same thing and be like, I can bring in a world of truth and beauty where darkness doesn't taint this. You know, where darkness isn't tainting the hearts of your neighbor. Where all the worlds are connected as one. That's what I see. That's what I see. We're coming up on an hour. We're coming up on an hour, so we could really open it up to the chat soon. But, you know, something we haven't talked about in regards to the Master. Something that came up here in the Missing Link trailer. An unwritten era. Now, we've talked about this on the channel. I have a few theories about it. But I wonder if this is an era that the Master and Darkness don't know about. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wonder if Missing Link is going to be, just like a pocket of knowledge that the Master won't know. Because again, very peculiar detail here. Take note of the no-name Keyblade. The eye is pretty dull. It doesn't have its normal glow. And they deliberately show you what appears to be Lushu. Could be Brain. Never know. But it seems to be Lushu. Covering it. You know what I mean? Question Landy from Con Donahue. When do you think we can get Kingdom Hearts 4? I'm so eagerly waiting for a Missing Link. I should say that for the 1 hour, but I'll mention it. I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is the absolute earliest holiday 2024. I think 2025 is more likely. The unwritten era isn't in the book, maybe? Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. Let's see. Might be other ancient masters just lost to the ancient darknesses. It's true. Who knows? There might be an entire quote-unquote Organization 13 of Master of Masters that he wants to bring back. You know what I mean? Like, imagine there's a whole coalition. Imagine Lushu. Wow, imagine that. Maybe that's why Lushu wears the coat too. Because it's interesting the Master doesn't wear the coat. I mean, it's interesting that the foretellers don't wear the coat. They have their own sort of dress code. Only the Master and Lushu wear the coat. Maybe Lushu is also from the Master's time, but he just doesn't have the memory. I'm not as sure about that one, but I thought it'd be cool to bring up. Okay. Vanitas himself says, I'm thinking the Master of Masters wants Kingdom Hearts so he can bring back those hearts that he has lost. His plan all this time was just to bring back those that he lost to darkness. You know, I like that because it would help us sympathize with him. You know, if at the end of the day, the Master just wants to bring loved ones back, even if his means are disgusting, you could still sympathize with that. And the way he'll be like, hey, the suffering in this realm won't matter because I'm just going to erase this realm and I'll bring you all into the world I envision, you know? Okay. Umbra says it's an unwritten era because as Maleficent in Twilight Town definitely canonically said, I mean, Missing Link does not exist now. Are you screwing with me, man? Seems like you are, Umbra. It's giving Marky from P5 Royal with that. I can see it. Yeah, Eric the Dude, you know, a lot of these RPGs borrow from each other. And I think that's what we're going for. Because think about it, right? They did it in Persona, but they also did it in Naruto. They also did it in Gravity Falls, you know, just to pull another one out of left field. I think the Master could be doing something similar. I think Xehanort, when you think about what's trying to do it. Lushu is Azam. Ooh. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm joking. Okay, I thought you might be. I could see that. I could see Lushu being the Azam of the set. Let's just say that. I could see that. For those who are in the know. That's a good one. Yeah, he could be Azam, and Master of Masters could be Emmett Selk. Dude. That's what I'm seeing. Wait, what do you mean when you mention Gravity Falls, Landy? There's no way for me to talk about it without spoiling the ending. But let me just say, I think the main villain from Gravity Falls ain't the main villain from Kingdom Hearts being the Master of Masters. I think they might have similar endgames. Not completely the same, but similar. Who's Azam? He's from Final Fantasy XIV. He kind of fits into that trope I was talking about, that the Master could be from a more advanced version of Daybreak Town, and he was just in like a civilization of people just like him. Or maybe he's like the last of his foretellers. Maybe he was part of a foretellers group that all wore those hoods, and he's just the last of them. You know? Could be. Could be. All right. I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick and refill my waters. Then we're going to dive into you guys. I really want to know what you're thinking in the chat. We can talk about his identity if you guys want. But again, like I told you, there's a wealth of videos out there that talk about that very thing. But if you guys have theories, cool ideas about that, please feel free to share them. So, but hang tight. We're going to go to a quick little commercial break. Gonna hit the little Kingdom Hearts room and refill these waters. Okay. If I could just find where I put that scene. Okay, found it. Anyway, we'll be right back, everybody. Here's a hydration bathroom break. We're going to get back into talking about the Master of Masters. We're only just getting started, baby. Let's go. Okay, we are back. All right, thanks for hanging tight, everybody. I appreciate you all waiting. All right, we have hit the 1 hour mark. Time to really open this up to the chat. Definitely want to focus on, like I said, plan, origin, stuff like that. But we could talk a little bit about who he might be. Okay. The Gummy Phone says, it's the symbolism of pride that proves who Master of Masters is. My theory is that what we see is a puppet of Sora controlled by Elrena behind the scenes. A lot of the Disney scenarios from the beginning corroborate the whole theory. Yeah, let me tell you something, Gummy Phone. It's stupid to say you disagree with a theory. I don't necessarily think you've nailed it. Basically, I don't think that theory is correct. But I will say it makes more sense to me. The theory you have there makes more sense to me than Sora being the Master of Masters. What you said there makes more sense to me than Sora himself being the Master of Masters. Because again, and I've seen you talk about this, there is a smoking gun of how Elrena knew that Strelitzia would hang out on the rooftops. Because to her, she was like, nobody knows I hang here. But Elrena's the one cast member who knows. Bit of a smoking gun there. So again, I don't think you're right. But I think what you bring up is more plausible and based in fact than a lot of other Master of Masters theories I've seen. All right, let's keep this going. Con Donahue says, wait, Landy, I have a theory about the Master that is similar to what you said about Bill. Have you ever heard of a show called Owl House? Well, the main villain named Bellos who wanted to take out witches? I've never heard of this. Unfortunately, I have never heard of this. Okay. I see Jay So Silly. Yeah, I have seen those Type 0 comparisons. I've recently bought Type 0 because I'm going to play it. I've seen a lot of people make comparisons to what's going on in Kingdom Hearts to Type 0. So I straight up, I bought Type 0. I'm going to play it sometime soon. Landy, if I had to sit down and chat with you about the whole thing, I could convince you in about an hour or two. I might take you up on that. Maybe we could do a live debate. I'll actually come from a position where I want to actively disprove you because I think that would give you a really good chance that would give you the opportunity to steel man your own position, right? As opposed to someone straw manning you. But anyway, let me keep going. Let's see. But, I do want to get onto the symbolism of pride, defining who the Master is. I think that's actually very true. We talked about on this channel how all the foretellers, they're the Latin names for the 7 deadly sins. The Master seems to sit at the pinnacle of them, and pride is seen in a lot of Christian and theological circles. Pride is seen as like the root of all sin. All sins stem from pride. Pride is the nexus from which all sins spring. And that the Master could be a stand-in for that. But do you know who was a stand-in? And again, I have a whole theory on the channel that goes into this. You guys can see it on the channel. Biggest theory on the channel. But do you know who the stand-in for pride is in the Bible? It's Lucifer. Now, what's Lucifer's name in Latin? Lux Ferae, which means light bringer. Which again goes on what I've talked about, the Master being an agent of the light, fighting on the side of the light. But what he represents is a more rigid order, right? So much light that it blinds you as opposed to guides you. So much order that it freezes things in place as opposed to letting them grow and nourish. I really think symbolically, thematically, that's what the Master really symbolizes. You know what I mean? So really getting into that with the whole Lux Ferae thing, the idea of Lucifer being a light bringer is almost kind of the idea that, it's not like he literally is this agent of light that brings the light down to you and gives it to you. It's almost like through his antagonism, light shall be brought forth. Something to remember with the Master of Masters moving forward. All right. Ooh boy, FF Type 0 for Landy Lodge gameplay stream. I have it on my PlayStation, so I only really stream PC and emulators. But we'll see. All right, so he's basically Ericus if Ericus was OP. Yeah. Ideologically, yes. I would agree. Sounds a lot like thunder. Gummy phone, I've seen your argument. Okay, I've given you points that it is more plausible than a lot of the more popular ideas about the master. But you will have your day. You will have your day in court, sir. You will have your day in the Landy Lodge court. Okay, Vanitas says, so the other theory I had is what if the Master of Masters is on borrowed time? What if all his time traveling from different timelines comes with a price? Just a thought. I think that's why he may actually be an entity of light. Like, he may not even really have a body, right? Because maybe the body is a limitation. Like, look how Lushu is limited in the sense that, like, to do what Lushu needs to do, he has to go from body to body to body to body to body. Have you noticed the Master is the same height, stature, and build in Union Cross in the Dark Seeker Saga as he is in the Lost Masters arc? He seems to have found a way to keep the same body. Why can't Lushu? To me, that seems to me that the Master may not be a material body in the way our characters are. He really might just be an entity of light encased within that hood. Oh, excuse me, my nose is itching. Okay. Reha is back. Says, actually, this is still giving me Fabula Nova vibes. Because if we're going with Master of Masters being a light bringer, the main villain in the final FF13 game was literally the God of Light. Yeah, because here's the thing, dude, is like, and remember, the people who wrote FF13 are a lot of the same people who work on Kingdom Hearts. It's Creative Business Unit 1. They're telling, like, how do I put it? Square Enix is telling, in a lot of ways, Square Enix tells you the same story over and over, but with just different skins, right? Like, for instance, for my fellow FF14 nerds out there, who I have a lot of bias towards, don't you all see the red flags? We're moving into Shadowbringers territory. The Kingdom Hearts story is moving into Shadowbringers territory. To put that in perspective for you, Reha, that's moving into Lightning Returns territory, right? Square Enix has these handful of stories that they tell over and over and over again. From the beginning of time, dude, from Chrono Trigger, from the OG FF7, from Final Fantasy 1, like, it's the same archetypes and concepts playing out in front of you, albeit a little bit differently here and there, but it still is behind the curtain. It's the same stories being told to you over and over. And what the current story seems to be is, how do we, from a meta-narrative point, how do we break the mold on this story, right? In the sense that the Master is, the narrative approach with the Master of Masters is, how do we transcend the stories of light and dark and chaos and order, right? How do we transcend these stories of light and dark, chaos and order? As what the Master's position on that is instead of defeating the darkness or fighting these very behind the curtain ideas, fate itself, darkness itself, is take these intangible things, right? That's it right there. Okay, here's what it is. It's taking something intangible like fate and darkness, giving it form and defeating it that way, but then pondering whether or not that's something you really want to do. The FF7 Remake Trilogy, perfect example. You take something that's intangible like fate, you give it a tangible form, the Whispers, you defeat that tangible form, and now you ponder whether removing that element was a good idea or a bad idea. I think we're doing something similar with the Master of Masters here, where instead of trying to sever ourselves off from fate, we're trying to sever ourselves off from darkness itself. Again, taking something intangible, making it tangible, and removing it from the equation that way. I think at the end of the day, at a baseline, that's what the Master of Masters is about. Whether it's about darkness itself, fate itself, existence itself, remains to be seen. Okay. My rant aside, let's get back into what you sickos are saying. Rez says, Landy, regarding your player being Sora's third life theory, could perhaps the quote that Sora says help? Scattered dream like a far-off memory like a scattered dream? Yeah, when you think about it, you think about the nature of dreams and how that's how the player's memories were, in a sense, called upon. That's how the player's memories were called upon in baby Xehanort, in young Xehanort. I could see that. Massive Masters is in very deep thought before Xehanort comes in the scene. I actually think, yeah, he's either deep in thought or he's daydreaming. I could see it being daydreaming. Silver Dash says, that made me think, bringing it down to our level. But then if that's the case, would it imply the Master of Masters isn't some higher entity like light itself, since he has to bring it down to his level? See, now, Silver Dash, if you haven't seen my Master of Masters video on YouTube yet, check it out. This is why I think he's archetypically, he's Lucifer. Because he is that higher thing. He's that top of the hierarchy thing. Fallen, right? In the way Lucifer is fallen. He is that top of the line, fallen down to our level. So now he's trying to do the same thing with those intangible concepts. It's the idea of taking something that is above and bringing it down below. Or in some case, you have the stories of taking something below and bringing it above. Like a lot of stories revolving around demons operate that way. Like demons, darkness, right? Demons and darkness, they operate on like this subterranean level, right? Like even in human psychology, it works that way, right? The shadow exists in the subconscious, right? The subterrane of the human psyche. So a lot of stories are about that subterrane trying to emerge into the light. And sometimes that could be a good thing, like with integrating the shadow. You see it in Persona. Sometimes it could be a bad thing, like the ending of Gravity Falls, At least what Bill Cipher was trying to pull off. Now, what we're talking about with the master here is he's this lost master. He's from this ancient time. He's almost like this godly figure who can create Chirithes and dark Chirithes and Keyblades. He can create all of this. He might have even created the foretellers from scratch. You know what I mean? And he's fallen into this lesser world. Where darkness taints everything. Meanwhile, he's from this time where it was all light. The worlds were all one. And now he's this fallen figure in this fallen world. So again, kind of a way to conceptualize that. Hence the false light line. Exactly, Umbra. Exactly. Okay. Okay, Tiger Weirdo's got a good rebuttal here. He disagrees with the notion that Master of Masters is not a material body. Keep in mind, Ansem the Robe Man was visibly having no form. Master of Masters has a form because, silly and plain as it sounds, he had hands, feet, legs, arms. Yeah, and in the Kingdom Hearts 3 secret movie, you can see his chin, technically speaking. So there's that too. All right. Let's get caught up. But, I also think, while we're on it, with this scene in particular, we also have to consider that the master doesn't take this coat that fends off darkness off. And I wonder if it's actually because he's trying to keep the darkness inside as opposed to keep it out. Maybe he's trying to keep it in. I don't know. Just a random thought I had. He also has a chin in the official art. Yeah, I think I saw a little something on that too. Chin looks like a blank replica. There was no other reason for them to show what that looked like. Yeah, and this is where I get with you, where you're like, the Master of Masters is probably some kind of puppet. Because, maybe he really is a blank replica that's just being wielded. That's where I could vibe from that. Judging from that scene on the rooftop, the Master of Masters looked like he had a young face. Yeah, almost like he's sort of this immortal figure. Because again, like we mentioned, it's very peculiar that Luxu has to go through time, hopping from body to body to body to body, but the Master didn't need to do that. Why? Could be an answer I'm missing. But why? Rez says Lucifer usually represents color red, and if we're saying Master of Masters is a light, but also light, then he will always travel the farthest. Out of all the colors of light, red is the one that travels the farthest. Yeah, and if you notice, red is the color on the black box. Red is the color on the black box. We've got a first-time chatter, ladies and gentlemen. Yasil Aslan says, but why do the foretellers resemble so much the other Keyblade wielders, Riku, Terra, Aqua? Maybe they are experiments to revive Riku? Bad ending storyline? I think it might just have something to do with bloodlines. You know, we see how bloodlines are a part of Kingdom Hearts now. It's very possible maybe Envy is, or that Aqua is a part of Envy's bloodline. And I do believe we've seen Envy use water magic. That's really what I think that could be. That's what I think. All right. And isn't it correct, guys, that the Daybreak Town Tower looks a lot like the tower from Type 0? Maybe I could pull that up for everybody. Right? Type 0 Clock Tower, Final Fantasy. That's something worth talking about. We've talked about it on this podcast before, but if we're going to talk about this kind of stuff with the Master, might really be worth bringing up. Let's say, yo, Sonny is here, my man. Who, again, we've talked about it, guys. If we're talking mostly plans and origins here on today's episode, but if the Master's identity is something that tickles your fancy, you definitely want to check out Sonny Novus's video on that subject. We've talked about it here today already, earlier in the video. And even on the previous episode, we did too. It came up. But Sonny, how we doing, man? He says, in Birth by Sleep, Master Xehanort, in one of his reports, said that the one who opens Kingdom Hearts has the capacity to become something more than human. Yeah, and I really think that's what the Master is already. You know, and we've pondered earlier in the episode if the Master's origins, if the time he's originally from, if that's the unseen land of Kingdom Hearts itself, or if it's the land from which the light of Kingdom Hearts used to shine on directly. Because again, as we know, with Daybreak Town, Birth by Sleep, all these Kingdom Hearts, they're not the real Kingdom Hearts. You know, there's always someone like Xemnas' recreation of it. You know, we pondered that the Master may have been from a time where the light of the real Kingdom Hearts was the light of the land. Or perhaps that he is from the land of Kingdom Hearts itself, because in Dream Drop Distance, Xehanort mentions that that in ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land by the name Kingdom Hearts. It's not simply that Kingdom Hearts was a moon or a star or a light. It's that it was also a land. You know, maybe biblically it's heaven. Maybe in more Eastern traditions, it's nirvana. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. What else did I miss? Landy, I think you've mentioned this in another stream before, but sounds like the Master Masters could be something like Father from Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, you know, kind of like this this homunculus. You know, this 4D chess playing homunculus that can create things, and he can create other homunculi and name them after the 7 deadly sins, much like Father did in Full Metal Alchemist. 100%. Hey, Landy, could you drop a link to Sonny's theory, please? I absolutely can do that for you. Let me get that real quick. Here's my boy. Here's my boy. Okay, everybody, let me drop this in the chat. This is a theory by Sonny Novus you definitely want to check out. Okay. Also, my man Sonny's been cooking, so you may want to keep an eye on his fridge. Landy, can you show us the Daybreak Town Tower lookalike you mentioned? Yeah, let me pull that up. I believe it's Type 0 that has this clock tower lookalike. Man, I wish my man Xander was here. He has the best picture of it. But let me pull it up real quick. Okay. Final Fantasy Type 0 clock tower. Does this hit the Tower of Agito? Agito? No. Don't think that's it. Might be. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, perfect. I've got a side-by-side for you guys. I've got a side-by-side for you sickos and normies. Whoop! Excuse me. Just got to adjust a few things on my screen. Make a little room for it. All right, let's pull this bastard to the other side. Live production, baby. That's how we do it. Oh, Jesus, where did it go? Right here. Let's open that in a new tab. Okay. All right, guys. Tell me what you think of this. Tell me what you think of this. Let me make this smaller. Shout out to my man Xander, who put me onto this. Check out the similarities, right? You can't look away from that now, can we? Not the favorite, just of the highest position of angel. Yeah, he was revered. He was revered. Remember, Lucifer used to be God's favorite. I have to be honest, though. I have no idea what I'm getting at. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of misconception about that. I don't know if he was the favorite, but he was definitely favored. That looks too similar to be a coincidence. Yeah, no, it's the same freaking thing, dude. That's the same thing. I can't unsee it. Yeah, I know, right? We ain't messing around here. Do the clocks show the same time? Yeah. Yeah, hold on. Here, we're really going to investigate that. Okay. If we look about here, let's zoom in a little. See how the hand is pointing sort of this way and this way? If we go down here, it's pointing this way and this way. It's making an X. I never noticed that. The sigil's right on the... I'm screaming into the microphone. The sigil is right on top of the clock. That's nuts, as Sora would say. Type 0, 13, 15, all goes together. It's Fabula Nova Crystallis. And listen, we have reason to believe Kingdom Hearts was always going to be a part of Fabula Nova Crystallis. You know? Wait, what the hell? Yeah, we're going deep today. I think the similarities are undeniable, down to my original theory on Massive Masters being named Jack, which came up in Dark Road. Yeah, it was like a wink and a nod there. Definitely was a wink and a nod. So yeah, guys, look, your boy's going to play some Type 0, and I might be coming back to you with some Type 0 theories and how it might connect to the Master of Masters, because again, that is way too similar. Rural Neptune says, didn't the organization use an X to keep track of Sora? If Daybreak is underneath Scala, yeah. Maybe it's a sigil used to track Scala, Ed, Kylum, Daybreak Town, whatever it may be. You can't talk about the Master of Masters and not go deep. Yeah. Big facts. Big facts. Okay. Let's switch it back a little bit here. Let me get my screen back to how I had it set up. We'll carry on with today's episode. Are you guys having a good time? Because I'm having a good time. I know I'm having a good time. I just hope you guys are having a good time. All right. Type 0 is incredible. Xander's here. Dude, I'm so glad you're here, bro. I'm so glad you're here. Because we were just talking about you and how you put me on to the clock tower similarities. Yo, the Snake Boy is here too. And Tree gave us a raid with a party of 17 over on Twitch. Yo, give it up to my man Treehouse, giving us the raid over on Twitch. My man, thank you. And Clickety CC, thank you for the follow. We are 9 away from 600 on Twitch. We are coming up on it, dude. We are coming up on it. Skazfish says, it's so cool that you're talking about this right now because I follow someone who is really into Type 0, and I'm just so excited to see what you'll have to say about it all. Yeah, I got to get on it. I got to play it because it seems like there might be some hidden knowledge encased within those games, man. Everything he says, that's the hint. You definitely missed how the master speaks. You have to decipher. Even the mark of the Lassie in Type 0 is that of the eye. Ooh. Always having a good time. I'm glad you guys are having a good time. I'm glad we're chilling. All right. Okay. Now, let's see. Okay, Kingdom Hearts is the... Maria M.A. says Kingdom Hearts is the unseen realm. Etro's Gate is the gateway to the unseen realm. Etro gave Yule the eyes of Etro, who created the Oracle Drive, Book of Prophecies in Japanese, see in the future. Just like Master of Masters gave Lushu the gazing eye, so he could write the Book of Prophecies with what Lushu saw, Master of Masters in that way is Etro. Ooh. And I actually see how some of this lines up with like paganism and paganistic beliefs. Yo, Pika Pocket is here. If we could get a shout out for Pika Pocket. What's going on, Pika Pocket? Hope you're chilling. Rural Neptune, thanks for the follow over on Twitch. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. Okay, Umbra says, you mentioned some parallels between the Master of Masters and a couple of Final Fantasy XIV characters, which I don't know anything about because I haven't played FF14. But I will say that there's a certain character in Type 0 who gives me mega Master of Masters vibes. Won't say it until you've played it, though, of course. Jesus. Seems like the whole second half of this podcast is telling everybody to go play Type 0. Don't know how I wasn't following you on Twitch. Dude, there's so many platforms. It's so easy to, just forget or not keep track. Any thoughts on the missing link symbol and how that may tie into things or relate to the Master of Masters? We did an entire episode on the symbol for missing link. Let me see if I can dig it up. Because, yeah, we did a good... Might have been 2 hours we did. Let me see. How long ago was that, too? That was a while ago. That was 9 months ago. And, yeah, we did a full hour and 37 minutes on the missing link symbol. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll throw that into the chat if that's something you want to watch. Okay. The Master's eyes glow like Mako. They do usually have that Mako glow. But you know what's interesting about the Master's eye? Is it looks very akin to like a serpent or a dragon or even a high-class predator like a tiger. It's got that sort of fierce, narrow pupil that you see again in like snakes, dragons, tigers, a dragon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Gummy Phone. It's almost like he's got the eye of a dragon. Which again, any FF14 fans out there, that shouts Heaven Sword. That shouts Heaven Sword. Okay, Tree wanted you to know that he couldn't stay for the raid because he had to get to the grocery store before they closed. Hey, look, Tree had to put his big boy pants on. If you can't make it to the Landy Lodge live because you got to go put your big boy pants on and go to the grocery store, that's perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. We all know that. Enrique says, I'm watching some cutscenes. And is Master of Masters darkness as well? The scene in which Darkness first meets Maleficent, it tells her that I trapped you here so you won't meddle in the past. But I always thought it was Master of Masters that trapped her. I don't think so, because he wants to encase a darkness within himself. Like encasing a darkness within a darkness seems like a bit much, if you catch my drift. Oh, boy. Oh, you have me curious now, Landy, when you say the snake or dragon part. Yeah. The snake is going to be Envy. So I think it's more dragon than it is serpent. But it has almost like this sort of reptilian predator look to it. Soren's eye. Yeah, very similar. Although Soren's eye was emanating red. The Master is emanating blue. Right? Because Soren was sort of this agent of chaos. This agent of darkness. So it oozes that red. The Master is an agent of light. He's an agent of order. That's at least how I'm interpreting him so far. So that's why he's blue. Oh boy. Is it a coincidence that the composers in The World Ends With You have dragon motifs in either name or clothing? No. Honestly, guys, the dragon, like, there are few symbols in fiction more powerful than the dragon. Like, the dragon symbolizes so much, both in, like, Western mythology, Eastern mythology. It symbolizes different things in different parts of the world, but the symbol of the dragon it's very powerful, it's very poignant, and it usually is our adversary, right? The dragon, more often than not, even in Eastern legends, where the dragon is seen as something like in Western legends, the dragon is something you slay. In Eastern legends, the dragon is more something you tame, it's something you integrate, right? But it's all kind of circling the same idea. To put it bluntly, dragons usually, in a way, represent something adversarial. More often than not, chaos, but something adversarial. Okay. Actually, Sauron in Tolkien's mythology was all about strict order. He hated chaos and disorder. You know, I cards on the table. I've been exposed to very little Lord of the Rings. I've basically seen every movie once, like The Hobbit all the way through to the trilogy, but I've probably only seen them each once. So, I'm glad the chat is here to correct me on that. But you know what? That's telling me though that I probably need to rewatch some Lord of the Rings. Because again, the most recent Lord of the Rings movie I watched was like those live action Hobbit ones, which were pretty good, but just don't compare to the Peter Jackson trilogy. Okay, Rez says, my own plans from Lushu is probably going to be a major plot twist in whatever he's divulging with the true Dandelion. Yeah, Lushu is clearly working with different parties. Could be working with Darkness, could be working with Brain, could be working with the Master. Like, he's kind of betting on all sides so he doesn't look. Landy, you got to get on that Lord of the Rings deep lore. I do. Like I said, I've only been exposed to like everything once. I got to get my deep dive on, man. Type 0 and Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm leaving this podcast with. Okay. If we start Tolkien lore, we would be here all day. It's true. What was I getting on? Oh, yeah, over here. Right here. So, again, he's counting on Lushu to betray him. So, it won't be much of a plot twist if and when he does, because he seems to be counting on Lushu not vibing with this plan and kind of turning against him. Lord of the Zero type of the rings. Yeah. But that's interesting. I really had a misconception about Sauron. You know, I know that Sauron had his own order, but, you know, a lot of twisted villains see chaos as an order of itself, as a proper order, you know? Like, how do I put it? Like, the Joker is like that in a lot of ways. He's clearly an agent of chaos, but he believes true order is there being, like, a true, more authentic order would be one ruled by chaos, you know? So, that's my misconception. Okay. The Snake Boy says, to me, Sora is the false light because the Master literally says, I suppose letting false light dictate the future would be a pretty lousy move. And Sora does exactly that in the Keyblade Graveyard. Yeah, you know, I've given that thought. The only rebuttal I have, because I have thought about that a bit, the only rebuttal I would have is that I feel like if Xehanort was able to conceptualize that, he probably would have had something to say in that final battle with Sora, you know? I hope we find out who the Master is in Kingdom Hearts 4, but what do you think, Landy? I hope we don't find out in Kingdom Hearts 4. I hope they keep that mystery going a little longer. I don't think he's someone we know. Let me say that. I don't think he's someone we know. If he is someone we know, then he's Lushu. But I don't think that's the case. That's all I'll say about that. John Bizen says, there's still talk about the Master of Masters. People are saying that the Master of Masters is like Sora from the future. I don't see it. I don't freaking see it. I don't see Sora being like, again, I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm going to do a whole video on this one day, but I don't see Sora being turning into someone so psychologically manipulative. Like, the Master of Masters is so manipulative and so tactical and has so much foresight, it would just be so out of character for Sora to grow into that. I can't be crazy for feeling that way, right? Somebody give me some external validation. Because the idea that Sora in the future, even if he goes through tragedy, would turn into someone that could manipulate his followers, could sick darkness on an entire realm being Daybreak Town, could put Xehanort in motion to bring that tragedy and suffering to his fellow Guardians of Light, that he could, that Sora could turn into something. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying the point between A and B, the gap is so wide, they'd have so much ground to cover. Because again, the idea that Sora is going to turn into this manipulative, Machiavellian, like super genius, I just don't buy it, man. I just don't buy it. Okay. Rant over. Rant over. For now. Where are we at? We're almost at an hour and 40 minutes. That's insane. I don't see Sora turning into someone I can't trust on such a high level. Honestly, guys, I could more easily, maybe I'm crazy, but I could more easily digest that the Master is like Sora's great-great-great-grandfather than the Master is Sora himself. To me, I could more easily digest that Sora is a part of the Master's bloodline, even though that goes in the face of the dull, ordinary boy trope. I could more easily digest that than Sora being the Master of Masters himself. Just an opinion. Okay. The only way I could see him turning into that type of person is if he lost Kairi and Riku forever. So if you wanted to make it work, but then again, why would because you can't look. A big part of Kingdom Hearts is going home, right? Series is making sense to me in a way right now. It doesn't often. So I'm going to harness this. A big part of Kingdom Hearts is going home. Everyone just wants to go home. What is the mission of every Kingdom Hearts character? Find your friends, beat the bad guy, and go home. Even Axel says it to frickin' Saïx. I'm even dragging you home. That is the point. Everyone in Kingdom Hearts needs to have a home, because with that home, they have an end goal, right? Sora, Riku, Kairi, what's their end goal? Destiny Islands, hanging out. Axel, Roxas, Shion, what's their end goal? Twilight Town, the Clock Tower, eating ice cream. Aqua, Terra, Ventus, what is their home? Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. Land of Departure. There we go. It took me a second. But Land of Departure. And at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3, what do we see? We see that the Sea Salt Trio went back to Twilight Town, home with their friends. The Birth by Sleep Trio went back to Land of Departure, home with their friends. No coincidence. That's why Chirthi reunites with Ventus at the Land of Departure. Now, where am I going with this? Because in order for the Master to make sense, in order for him to have the same motives as everybody else, he needs to have a home. What is his home? The time before Daybreak Town. So just like everyone else in the series, right? This would be a great way to incorporate the Master, in my opinion, right? This would be a great way to incorporate him. Just like everybody else in the series wants to beat the bad guy, find their friends, and go home, the Master of Masters could want the same thing. Here's how it would line up. Beat the bad guy. That's darkness. Find his friends. That's the foretellers, dandelions, and the people he's lost. And go home. What's home? The time before Daybreak Town. And maybe Quadratum, the world of fiction, is a tool in the master's arsenal that he can use to accomplish those three things. So again, the idea that you're going to make the Master of Masters and Sora one, you completely tear home. Like, you know what I mean? It destroys the concept of home, you know? And again, with that concept, think of Riku. What was Riku's big struggle in Kingdom Hearts 2? He's like, I can't go home. I can't face everybody. What's he having those visions about? It was you that destroyed your home. Home is a big deal. And that's why I think the Master of Masters has his own home that he wants to go to. You know, compared to Sora, who has his own home that he wants to go to. Anyway, rant over. Okay. Miss Blue says, I think the Sora equals Master of Masters, like all theories, are valid, but I want to see very sound reasoning. I'm open to it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm with you where it's like there's a gap between A and B. A being Sora, who he is today. B being the Master Masters, being this manipulative, Machiavellian, like, psycho, for lack of a better term. Landy getting heated. Oh yeah, that's when it gets fun. Ms. Blue says again, it would have to be Sora's getting his heart replaced with another's. Maybe it's his body that becomes the Master of Masters, but not his heart. See, that I can vibe with, right? That the Master of Masters would have Sora's body, but not his heart. I could easily vibe with that. Easily. Okay. 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 Take a swig. Addison Sanders says, there's a quote I want to share, but it has nothing to do with Square, yet it somehow seems like it could relate to the Master. Origin is an end, and finality is a beginning. Origin is an end, finality is a beginning. In the context of the Master, I suppose his origin story is the end of his world. And perhaps the end of his story is this new beginning that he's striving towards. Interesting. No, I'm glad you shared that. That was cool. But if he comes from a timeline that he and his comrades died and lost to darkness, he has no home. That's why he needs to maybe commit a nature taboo, or he needs to manipulate a world of fiction in order to achieve something so grand. Whoo boy. How are we doing on time? An hour and 45 minutes. Damn. Coming up on it. Coming up on it. Okay. Maybe Master of Masters is an alternate version of Sora, but I don't know how I like that, man. Like, maybe. I think the best you could do is that they're from the same bloodline. But I don't know. It's a tough sell. All right. What if we look at that as a fate type deal? Shiro and Maya and Archer? I do not know. Lands of Masters is here. The Master himself, Lands, what is going on? If the Master of Masters can't go home, then maybe he needs Kingdom Hearts to create a new one or bring it back. That's my point. This is why I think he may have an interest in the realm of fiction. Like, he might be looking at the realm of fiction like, this is my canvas, and I will paint my lost world onto this canvas. What does the Master, we all wonder, went through that pushed him down this dark path in his own? I think it's what he went through in his first world, losing his friends and loved ones. You know, that seemed to have a big effect on him. I only agree if they make it work something spicy. Yeah, look, a lot of these ideas that I'm not a fan of, I'm not saying they can't work. I'm just saying I'm currently unconvinced. That's all. Xander says, Sora being Master of Masters is such lazy story writing, in my opinion. I really hate that theory. Like, let him be his own character, like Master of Masters being the embodiment of Kingdom Hearts or some shit. Yeah, that's better. That's better, in my opinion. You know? Okay. Yeah, you know, it's just, I like that. I'm not sure the Master can Here's the thing. I would like if the master is his own character, but then there's the part of me that goes, okay, if he's his own character, then why hide his face? You know what I mean? If that's not his character, why hide his face? I don't know. How do you think the master got to the world of fiction? How do you realize that power? Maybe he could transcend space and time and reality? That's what's interesting about the master. He can seem to circumnavigate between realms pretty seamlessly. But then why hide the foretellers' faces too? Maybe because their faces give away their bloodline? You know what I mean? Could be something like that, but that's a good point. Questions. Oh, yeah. All right. Agreed. He's definitely... Okay, yeah, this is Scott's Fish over on Twitch. Has agreed. He's definitely got to be his own character. I wonder if the face he will show is really his own, though. Yeah, well, that's the thing. His face will reveal something. That's the thing. His face may not reveal a character we're familiar with, but his face will reveal something. You get me? I think I missed Kay's theory. I was at school for 3 hours. No, I haven't shown it. I know you wanted me to show his theory on like the next Kingdom Hearts episode, but we're getting towards the end of this one. If Kevin's here, I think that could be cool. It depends how long it is, and it depends if it's topical. Like if it fits with our topic here, being the Master of Masters. Okay, plot twist. Master of Masters is Sora in a way. Plot twist, Riku and Sora is the reincarnation of Player and the Charity. That would be unhinged. Unhinged. Have we ever touched on the origins of Terra and Aqua, or is that not important in the series? It hasn't been brought up to be important, but I'm sure they have a bloodline that connects to the foretellers or something. Why hide Lushu's face when he's going to body hop anyway? Hey, look, that's a valid question. It's a valid question. It's the Master of Masters, yes? Okay, Kevin's here and he's got a Master of Masters theory. You know, we can throw it. We could throw it up on the screen. You and Kevin have been both very generous with your support of the Lodge. So if he's here, I'd be happy to pull that up before we wrap up today. Diz hit his face, though. That is a good point. Diz hit his face, even though revealing himself as Ansem the Wise didn't really... These are good points. These are all very good points. Maybe Kingdom Hearts has never really followed that rule of thumb. That's good to know. That is good to know. Okay, here we go. Born Sinner. Is that a J. Cole reference? Anyway, I think Master of Masters is a version of Vanitas. Vanity means pride, yes, which is the only other deadly sin aside from the foretellers. And the fact that his Keyblade has 2 gazing eyes instead of 1 says something. Yeah, Vanitas is, you could do a deep dive on Vanitas, man. There's a lot going on with him. The Snake Boy says, little off topic, but someone in real life is a massive false light too. Only the real would know. Oh, I hear that. Kev is here? Lenny, do you think they will dive more into Norse mythology? I don't think so. Maybe. But Dark Road looked like they were going to go knee deep in Norse mythology and they just didn't. Like they really didn't at all. They use tons of Norse names. All right, Game Changer. Do you want to throw up Kevin's theory? If he's got a little theory. Let me see if I can hunt this down. I know I follow you. Okay. How long is it? Oh, is this about the Master's plans for Shion? Because if it's about the Master's plans for Shion, I actually plan to cover that during the next audience theories. So let me know if that's the one. I've got a feeling it might be. 9 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, we're going to cover that on audience theories. Because I think that's good. Vanitas is definitely returning in Kingdom Hearts 4. 100%. 100%. Okay. Let me see what Twitch is leaving us with here. Oh, man. It's their video going into who Odin is because Odin is so sus. Yeah, you know, there's always the idea Odin could be the Master of Masters. So, I know a lot of people thought he might be Lushu. Nice. When? Either the first week of October or... Oh, yeah, first week of November, excuse me. Or second week of November. It's going to be one of those. All right. Game Changer says, my theory is that the new game quote from Ericus, Master of Masters, is going to bring Ericus back. I could see it. I see young Xehanort coming back. I think by proxy, a young Ericus maybe alongside of him. That remains to be seen. Okay. Some people say Demix is the Master, and I say, you know what? I think you may be right. Well, listen, I've been suggesting a lot of Master of Masters videos today. Let me suggest a video by Lunar Lux where he deconstructs the idea that the Master of Masters could be Demix. Great video, worth checking out. Just from Ericus's quote alone, remember Nomura leaves nothing to chance or coincidence. Everything is planned. I mean, yeah, especially when you consider quadratum is Latin for square and Ericus is an anagram for square. Maybe there's some kind of connection between Ericus and quadratum. Again, Ericus is a sly fox, and if anybody was ever one step ahead of Xehanort other than the Master, other than Lushu, then it was Ericus as well. I can't wait to see Lorium and Strelitzia reunite. Yeah, that's going to be really sweet. That's going to be a very sweet reunion. Oh yeah, baby. As a fan of Ericus, you're making me a little too happy right now. Yeah, and I think, I feel like the young version of the characters are better than the old version. Even though old man Xehanort is awesome, I think young Xehanort is just so cool. And Ben Diskin is a terrific voice actor. So I think the idea that a young Xehanort and young Ericus both may be back is appealing. But I think young Xehanort is just a lot more likely than Ericus. You might be onto something when it comes to Ericus, Landy. I mean, 100%. He's the one initiating the new game in the credits. His name was an anagram for square. Quadratum is Latin for the word square. Young Xehanort has already hinted, winked, and nodded to be returning. Again, the idea Ericus might, not so crazy. Considering when you think Brain is so hard at work, you know? Come on. Come on. All right. Colin Donahue says, Ben Diskin is awesome. Love him as the villain named Arthur in the Beyblade Burst Rise. He does a lot of voice acting. He was great in Naruto as well. In the newest artwork of all the Kingdom Hearts characters, Ericus has a pretty devilish grin on his face. He's the sly fox, man. That's why I actually think I wouldn't be surprised if Ericus and Ava are going to have some kind of connection, right? Because Ericus kept being referred to as the sly fox, and we know Ava, has the fox motif. She's a sly fox in it to herself. Who'd he voice in Naruto? He was Sai. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Ben Diskin was Sai. Ugh. Now I'm going to fact check myself live on air. Ericus is Ava's descendant. Well, we know Ericus is Brain's descendant. So theoretically, could be both Brain and Ava's descendant. Now, yeah, let me see this. I'm pretty certain. Where are you? Do I have that wrong? Nah, this dude just works a lot. Okay, so I haven't caught up yet. Okay. Yeah, he's Sai Yamanaka. Okay, I was not wrong about that. He's Sai Yamanaka. I had a feeling. Also, Xehanort does indeed whoop the paths of pain. Xemnas just finds the connections in Pain's heart. Gives him a heart attack. All right. Okay. All right, and he did additional voices in Persona 5 Strikers and FF7 Remake. Hardworking man, dude. Hardworking man. All right. Yeah, I've seen that thing where HMK interviewed Ben Diskin, and Ben's like, oh, I know the master's name, but I'm not going to say it. And I know he said that, like, oh, if I told you the name, you're not going to be like, oh, it's him. But, like, if he was trying to throw you off, he could just as easily say that as if he was trying to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Bro, my memory is garbage. Yeah, you know, that could just be a mislead. That could be a red herring. I wouldn't put too much stock in it. Just because you never know. So again, I wouldn't put too much stock in it. Too much. I missed the dog, though. You did miss Kobe. We could close the episode with Kobe. You know we're always down for that. I didn't get to say what the dog doing. Yeah, we took our little commercial break closer to the 1 hour mark. But if Chad requests it, I could bring in Kobe for the episode finale. We haven't done that in a while. What do you think, Master Ava? Is our main boy a part of her plan? I think, you know, with Ava, we don't know for sure. I think she's either in Quadratum or in Scala ad Kylum. She's in one of those two places. She has to be. She could be in both. She could be in both. See, we've got 2 votes for the puppy. Gonna take more than 2 votes, though. Nomura said Quadratum isn't the same Shibuya as World Ends With You, so does that negate all theories about Reaper's game? No, because the World Ends With You characters that appeared in Dream Drop Distance are not the canonical versions of the ones who appeared in their games. So that means the World Ends With You characters who interact with us do so inconsequentially to their own timeline. Oh, Landy, it was my birthday on the 27th of September, and you winning the award at Reconnect was an early birthday present. Dude, thanks so much. Dude, I do it for you guys, man. I do it all for you guys. I couldn't have won that award without you. Happy birthday, Kevin. If everybody can give a happy birthday to good old Kevin. The Snake Boy, good to see you, man. Thanks for hanging out. Mickey going to Scala and meeting Ava would be nuts. You never know. Landy Lodge, they really want to see your puppy dog? Okay, baby, we're getting closer. Three calls for Kobe. Makes it closer. It's funny. Cats are way more deserving of a what the cat doing. They do more silly stuff and get into places they shouldn't be. That's true. Landy cat when? Listen, you're barking up the same tree as my wife. She wants us to get a cat, and we'll get a cat eventually. Puppy, please. Okay, I think we've got enough. Show the doggy. Okay. All right. We'll go get him. We'll go get him. Summon the Kobe icon. Okay, we're gonna go get him. So I'm going to put this part of the screen up because thanks to the sages of the lodge, they are bringing you Kobe on this fine evening. There's a dog. Yeah. Once in a while, we let Kobe end the podcast episode. That's what we're going to do here. He's going to choose who we're rating, too. I'm going to go get him. Where's Kobe? Kobe. You're being summoned. Come with me. Follow me, buddy. The people have requested you, my buddy. They have requested you. Hold on, let's go. He's down here. There he is. Everybody say hi. We have summoned Kobe successfully. Come on, buddy. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let me pull you up, buddy. Come here. Come here. Oh, say hello to the folks, buddy. Say hello to the folks. They're over here. What's up? You being shy? You being shy? Why you gotta be so shy? Oh, he wants the treat. All right, we're gonna give him a treat. We'll give Kobe a treat live on air. All right, Kobe? You're going to prove to the folks how good you are. Give me that paw. Good boy. Sit. Give me a high five. High five. Go down. You're a good boy. There you go. Enjoy your little treat, buddy. Enjoy your little treat. What a good boy. What a good boy. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out today's episode. That was my dog, Kobe. You guys could see him whenever you want. You know, if you ever want to see him at the end of an episode, that's a good time to summon him. And he gets a treat out of it, you know? He likes it. Say he doesn't do shit for commands. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. But, thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. We are going to close up. Kobe has left the building. Yeah. He's going to go back to taking his nap, I should say. We're going to, uh-oh. Look who's back. Look who's back. Kobe, you back? Yeah, that's you, buddy. You're live on air. It's because you know I have another treat, right? All right, one more. Sit. Give me the paw. Give me a high five. Go down. You're such a good boy. All right. Before he comes back asking for more, we're going to wrap up today's stream. If you're hanging out on Twitch, we are going to raid. Let's see. We're going to raid Kitties and Middies. She's playing some Persona 5 Royal. Be a good time to raid her. Most replayed section in video form. It will be. People will play this over and over, baby. But anyway, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We're taking the party over to Kitties and Middies. Big thank you and a lot of love to the Sages. Big thank you and a lot of love to Billy the Kid for those super chats. We're closing it out, bringing it over to Kitties and Middies. That's episode 196. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Love you all. The Aqua video is coming. Another FF7 video podcast is coming. A lot of stuff in the pipeline. We're working on a new song to add to All This Is Decided and Ansem the Vibes and Kyrie's theme. Working on a new song. A lot of stuff in the works. Get excited. I'm going to shut up and wrap it up now.